Hey, welcome to the stock exchange and this video on how to play strategic level. The strategic level of the game is incremental or an add-on to the family fun level of the game. Therefore, make sure you play and watch the family fun level video first before proceeding to the strategic level of the game. Also remember, the safety sector cannot participate in advanced deals. There are 5 advanced deals in the stock exchange game: mergers and acquisitions, hostile takeovers, stock shorts, stock puts, also called hedges, and you can also take a company private. In the strategic level of the game, there are 2 spaces that will allow you to do an advanced deal. You should already be familiar with these spaces by playing the family fun level. The first space that we're going to talk about is the stock block space. As you've already learned, in the stock block space, when you land on it, you can buy, sell stocks, or draw a stock alert card. With the strategic level, you can also do an advanced deal. The advanced deal must involve the stock you've landed on. The buy-sell deal space is the other space in which you may have the option to make an advanced deal. When you land on the buy-sell deal space, you can make an advanced deal with any one stock on the board. When you successfully complete an advanced deal, the broker will record the deal, the player name, the stock ticker, and the strike price for that deal on the stock exchange game pad supplied with the game. The first deal we're going to discuss is mergers and acquisitions. A merger and acquisition is where a larger company can buy and merge with a smaller company. These companies must be in the same sector or color on the board. A single player that owns 50% or more, or a majority of the stockholders of the larger company, may initiate a merger and acquisition. The stockholders of the smaller company must also agree. If a majority of the stockholders do not agree, see the rules for a hostile takeover. If a merger is successful, the new, larger company also has a bonus of 2 stock coins after the merger is complete. Again, the safety sector cannot partake in advanced deals. There are 5 possible mergers and acquisitions that can happen within the stock exchange game. On the left, the larger company may acquire the smaller company within the same sector or color. Here's a quick example of a merger and an acquisition, where a larger company buys out and takes over a smaller company. Mergers and acquisitions can be one of the fastest ways for a player to gain wealth within the stock exchange game. Let's pretend we're in the middle of a game and the red player rolls a 4 and advances to Bleeding Edge Tech, BET. As we learned in the last video, the red player has a few options. He can buy Bleeding Edge Tech. He can sell Bleeding Edge Tech if he owns it. He can do an advanced deal that involves Bleeding Edge Tech, or he can draw a stock alert card. Notice the red player already owns 2 of the 3 stocks for phone, which is in the same sector, technology. The red player decides to buy 2 stock blocks of BETC, Bleeding Edge Tech. Notice the price with 2 coins would be $24,000. Therefore, buying 2 stock certificates would be $48,000. The broker collects the money, hands out 2 stock certificates for Bleeding Edge Tech, and also places 1 gold coin on the Bleeding Edge Tech coin location, indicating 1 or more stocks have been purchased. The blue player now rolls a 5, advances to the start location, and collects $30,000. The red player now rolls a 6 and advances to the buy-sell deal space. The red player has passed over the stock dividend space, therefore the player collects 2,000 times 8 stock blocks that he or she owns, totaling $16,000, which the broker will pay him or her. The red player must now buy anything on the board, sell anything on the board, or do an advanced deal with any stock on the board. The red player chooses to do a merger and acquisition, allowing Phone, the larger company, to buy out Bleeding Edge Tech, the smaller company within the same sector. As a result of the acquisition, the broker removes the coins on Bleeding Edge Tech, replaces them with the stock merger card of Phone. Notice it has an X on the coin indicator location at the top. At this point, the company BETC, Bleeding Edge Tech, no longer exists. It is now owned and part of Phone. The broker will now replace all the BET stock certificates owned by players with a special Phone stock certificate outlined in green as shown. Lastly, as a result of the merger and acquisition, the acquiring company gets a bonus of 2 gold coins. Therefore, Phone or Awesome Cellular gets an additional 2 coins. This completes the merger. As play continues, Phone now has 2 locations on the main board. If a player lands on either space, the same rules apply. If a player lands on the merger card for Phone, shown on the left, coins are still added to the primary Phone location. As a result of this merger and acquisition, the red player now owns the equivalent of 4 Awesome Cellular stock shares. Each stock share is worth the base price plus the coins, which in this case, 7 coins on the Phone stock is worth $88,000 for each stock certificate. So 88 times 4. Remember, the red player originally paid $24,000 for Bleeding Edge Tech, which is parlayed now after the merger to $88,000 per share. The next type of advanced deal is a hostile takeover. A hostile takeover is very similar to a merger and acquisition. However, the smaller company stockholders had voted no on the merger. In a hostile takeover, the player or players that initiated the merger and acquisition at this point may purchase stock blocks of the smaller company, if available, to become a majority shareholder and change the vote from no to yes. If a player is successful in purchasing enough of the smaller company to become a majority stockholder and change the vote from no to yes, a merger acquisition is followed. All the same rules apply. Don't forget, 2 stock coins are added at the completion of a merger or hostile takeover. The next 2 types of advanced deals are what's referred to as stock options. Let's take a second to talk about what a stock option is. There are many types of stock options used in the real stock market today. This game will focus on 2 types of stock options: stock shorts and stock puts. A stock option is basically when someone pays a fee to have the opportunity to buy or sell a stock in the future based on a certain price. Let's talk about the first type of stock option called a stock short. In a stock short, you're basically betting that a stock will fall in value from its present market value. Here's an example of how it would work. A player lands on either a stock block space or a buy-sell deal space and selects to do a stock short. The player pays the equivalent of 1 stock coin for that stock to the brokerage house. The broker then records the stock short on the stock exchange game notepad. The strike price is the fair market value of that stock during the turn that the stock short is applied. Here's an example of a stock short. Let's assume that the blue player rolls a 4 and advances to the buy-sell deal space. The blue player selects the advanced deal of a stock short and selects the stock phone to place a short. The blue player pays 1 stock coin equivalent in cash to the stock broker. In this case, that would be $8,000. The stock broker records the blue player did a stock short on the stock phone with a strike price of $88,000. The strike price was calculated by the present fair market value of phone. In this case, phone has 7 gold coins. So why would you want to do a short? Again, with this case, if phone's price drops below $88,000, the blue player will collect the difference between whatever that price drops to and $88,000. He or she has the option to exercise that at any point in the game if the stock price falls. Sometime before the end of the game, let's say that the stock price of phone drops by 3 coins. At this point, the blue player has the option to exercise his short. He or she would collect the difference between the strike price, which was $88,000, and the new fair market price, which is $64,000. The broker at that point would pay the blue player $24,000 and cross off the option from the stock exchange pad. The second type of option available in the stock exchange game is called a stock put, or commonly called a hedge. With the stock put or hedge, the player is basically buying insurance in the event that one of his or her stock holdings go down substantially before the end of the game. With the stock put, the player again pays one coin equivalent for the stock in cash to the broker to receive a stock put option. The broker would then record it on the stock exchange pad. In this example, let's assume that the red player now rolls a 5 and advances to the next buy-sell deal space. The red player now decides to do a stock put or hedge on the stock phone because he or she owns a large share and has many coins. The red player can purchase up to 4 stock puts for the stock phone because he or she owns 4 stock blocks of that stock. The red player would pay 8 times 4, which is $32,000, to the stockbroker for the option of having a stock put on his or her 4 phone stocks. Let's assume later in the game that the price of phone now drops by 3 coins. At that point, the red player could exercise his or her option to sell 1, 2, 3, or 4 of his or her stocks at the original strike price of $88,000. The last advanced deal is taking a company private. A player can take a stock private if he or she owns all of the shares of that stock. A player must land on that stock block space or a buy-sell deal to initiate taking a company private. Make sure you understand all the positive and negative things that go with taking a company private. How to take a company private. In this case, the blue player rolls a 4 and advances to the buy-sell deal space. Notice that the blue player owns all 3 shares of Faceit Media and decides to take Faceit Media, FIMC, private. There is no fee or cost associated with taking a company private if a player owns all the stock shares of that particular stock. The broker would place 2 gold coins as bonuses on the private company and also add a red private coin to the top of the coin stack, indicating the company is now private. The broker also records the advance deal on the stock exchange pad. There are several advantages and a few disadvantages of taking a company private. When a stock becomes private, its stock value is locked in at the present fair market value at the time it became private. In this case, Faceit Media has 4 gold coins, which means its frozen value is $16,000. When a company is private, all other players that land on that stock location on the board, pay the owner in cash the amount of 1 gold coin. Private companies are not considered stocks or cash during the retirement process. Therefore, they are immune from most of the spaces in the retirement process. Private stocks are not affected positively or negatively by the stock alert cards or world event cards. In this example, now that Face It Media Corp is a privately held company, it no longer collects dividends while landing or passing over the dividend space. It also is not counted as a stock in the retirement process for the minimum requirement of 5. That concludes this video on the strategic level of the stock exchange game. If you have additional questions, please refer to the rules booklet for a more detailed answer on the strategic level